action.
Okay, well, I have the privilege today of interviewing Art Rorheim, who was the founder of Awana, and we're at Art's apartment here in Rockford, Illinois, and in doing so, Art just celebrated his 98th birthday here not long ago, and so I just really count it a privilege to be able to talk with Art today. And I have a series of questions I'm going to ask him. We're just going to talk and converse, but you know, Art, I was thinking first of all about your salvation testimony. And would you mind sharing about how you came to put your faith in Jesus Christ as your Savior?
Yes, well, I was blessed. I was raised in a good Christian church, had Christian parents, and I really heard the gospel. And I had an older brother who was, he was just about 4 years older than me. And he got saved back at the Chicago Gospel Tabernacle where Paul Rader was. And he really got on fire for the Lord and thought about being a missionary. Well, then all of a sudden he became very sick one night, and we rushed him to the hospital and find out that he had spinal meningitis and he was dying. And he lay down in his bed and he said to my dad, he said, "Dad, you're a Christian." He said to my mother, "You're a Christian. But Art's not a Christian. We've got to lead him to the Lord." And the next morning, he was gone. He had died. And all I could hear, you see, here's a situation. I knew very clearly the gospel, but I had it all mentally. And I just, by myself, I went out and into our family car, and I just said, "Lord, I'm the sinner for whom you died." And right this very moment, I put my complete trust in what you did for me on Calvary. And I want you to be my Savior. And that was as simple as it was.
And how old were you, Art, at that time?
I was 10 years old.
10 years old.
And my brother was 14, see.
Okay.
And so it took really the death of my brother to wake me up. Because there's a difference. I know a lot of people today, we hear them say, yes, they are Christians, but they're only mental Christians. Because we know to be born again is not a thing that comes over a period of time. Just when a child is born, they're born in a moment, aren't they? And so when you trust Christ as your Savior and the Spirit of God comes to dwell within you, that comes at a moment in time. And so that's it. And my life was changed from there on in. Yeah. And although I didn't realize that had any idea what God had with my life back there, but I started to realize that there was something real in life, and God had it for me.
Okay. Now, you had mentioned to me earlier about your relationship with Lance Latham, and even previous to that, Paul Rader. Would you mind sharing a little bit about Paul Rader's ministry and then Lance Latham and how they influenced your life?
Well, of course, Lance Latham was my mentor. We don't worship people, but why he chose me to be his youth director, he was the most brilliant man I ever met, and the most humble man I ever met. And to be able to work alongside of a man like him, I just was so honored. I just couldn't believe, because he had so many people he could have chosen instead of me, because I did not have really much of a background at all. But I asked him one time why he chose me when he could have chose other people. He says, "Well, Art," he said, "I saw you had two qualities. One was that you had a real love for children, and also you know how to impact children and to reach children, and the children were attracted to you." And he says, "And not only that, but you were able to do the same with leadership. You were able to get the heartbeat you had to other leaders." And he said, "Those are the only two qualities I cared about, because I knew God would take care of all the other things that you need. But if you have those two things," he says, "I know God will take care of me." So, well, anyway, we looked to Paul Rader. Lance Latham was on the staff of the Chicago Tabernacle, and that place was the most amazing man I ever met. Well, I had the privilege of meeting him one time. And I was young, and I was asked to go pick him up and take him to a meeting. And I was just frightened. What do I say to this great, great man? What do I say to him?
Yeah.
And I got into the car, and all of a sudden, he looked at me and he said, "You don't know how much I appreciate you coming to pick me up and take me to our meeting. You know how much I appreciate that." And then he says, "Are you a Christian?" I said, "Yes, I'm a Christian." "You are?" He looked at me like that. He says, "Listen, God's got great things for your life. Don't miss it." And that was all I got from Paul Rader. Wow, that great man. But here he is. When you think at the tabernacle, if you went to the tabernacle.
And these were, what years were Paul Rader? 1920s?
In the
30s?
This is the 20s.
20s, okay.
Yeah, all the 20s. Yeah.
Okay.
That's my clock that's playing. Oh, the Amazing Grace.
Yeah, that's a good thing to remember.
Every hour.
Every hour.
Every hour. Amazing Grace. But here you see, it's nothing like a big steel tent, and nothing but sawdust on the floor, wooden benches, no PA system. He had nothing, and there to talk to about 6,000 people. And God, somehow or another, he could reach those people. He had a good, strong voice, and something happened there that I don't know where it would ever happen. There were people who were so convicted of the need of salvation, someone would actually come down before he was done with the message, said, "I got to get saved right now." That's unusual, isn't it?
Mm.
But that's the Spirit of God that really, really worked in that place. But here, he was really the founder of Christian radio, and he was a friend of the mayor, and the first
And this was in
broadcast-
Chicago.
Chicago.
Yep.
And the first broadcast that he had, the mayor, it was up on top of one of the buildings in Chicago. They set up a radio station up there, and Paul Rader was with the mayor up there and put on this first program up there. See? But then, as radio and developed, now he was on the first coast-to-coast broadcast that went clear across the country. And every morning, for one whole hour, he was on there from coast to coast. And they had also, at the tabernacle, every Sunday, they broadcast for 14 hours straight. They went right through 14 hours straight. How this man could do this. And you'll see in one of the videos, George Sweeting, who was the director of the Moody Bible Institute and also the pastor of Moody Church. In a video, he gets up and he says, at Founders Week, they were singing one of Paul Rader's songs. I said, "Let me tell you about Paul Rader." He says, "Do you know that he had a conference to reach people for Christ for one whole year? And he spoke every night except one to no less than 4,000 people." Now that sounds unbelievable. I mean, I can't even start to. I don't know of anyone else that ever tried that.
That was before TV, right?
That's right. Oh yeah, that's long before.
Yeah, exactly,
Long
yeah.
before TV.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
But he had such a heart for the gospel, and not only for the mission field, and for when they would have missionary conferences there, they would have sometimes 200 applicants that would come say, "Yes, we won't free God's called us." See, but you go into that place, they had the second largest organ, and that Lance Latham played, and they may sometimes had 4 grand pianos on the program, 200 in the choir. They had a band of about 50 pieces there. You went in there, and wow, this place really woke you up. But then when you heard Paul Rader, wow, he was amazing. What a communicator this man was.
With a real passion to reach the lost.
Just a real passion to reach the lost. It just came out from him all the time. And everybody, whenever he spoke, everybody wanted to listen because he reached them. He reached them, you know, in one way or another. And so, yeah, Paul Rader, and then to think that over 25 ministries in an 11-year time came out of there. Places like the Northside Gospel Center and Youth for Christ and New Tribes Mission and Slavic Gospel Association. You go on and on. And they had their heartbeat touched when they were at the tabernacle, see? So that's really, I don't know any ministry in the world that ever done anything like that, see?
And isn't that how Lance Latham got saved?
No, he
No?
no, he did not get saved through Paul.
Okay.
He was saved before that. In fact, Lance Latham was interesting. He had a father that was a Presbyterian minister when the Presbyterians were good, solid churches back there in those days. But he believes in memorizing Scripture. And he would never get up to the pulpit and never read Scripture. He always would quote it from memory, every week. And so he got that into Lance Latham. And every morning they got up early in the morning and they would recite Scripture together. And so when Lance was 7 years old, he could recite 2 or 3 whole books of the Bible. So that's where he got all his memorizing from. And so he imparted that to me. I remember one time he came to me, he says, Art, you got to get serious about this Scripture memory stuff. He says, I want you to do the first 8 chapters of Romans, and he says, I want you to recite it to me in a month. And I tell you, boy, I was so determined. I'd never done that before. 8 chapters of Romans.
Yeah.
But you see, that became, boy, nothing else took the place of memorizing that. Because he was a perfectionist. I could not get by with missing a word with him. And so I had to be really a perfectionist. See. But then, of course, he was such an amazing musician too. You see, he originated. He had 4 grand piano concerts, 4 grand piano, and he arranged all the music for that. He could sit.
So there were 4 pianos,
yes,
all at the same time playing.
all at the same time playing.
Yeah.
And he could sit in his office and write this music without even a piano there. That's how amazing he could do this stuff. And so I have one of the videos I'll be giving away there is the last 4 piano concert he did at Orchestra Hall. And it's one of the Stars and Stripes that he did back there. And so it's amazing the ability that this man had. But he was willing to give the whole thing over to the Lord. He said when he got saved, God, he was going to be a professional pianist. But the Lord he said, I'll use it somewhere else. And so he wrote songs, he did he was an amazing man, he really was.
But he eventually became a pastor, right?
Well, he was pastor of the Northside Gospel Center. He started out in that old furniture store. And it was just an old burned down place that they took and renovated it. But he majored on the gospel, so nobody that I ever met majored on the gospel. Now he got into this old merger store, and you can imagine starting in an old place like that, all the financial needs they had. But you know, the first thing he did, he put out a publication every month, a publication that majored on the gospel, to send us whatever names he had. And then the next thing, he found out there was an opportunity to get on a broadcast too. So there he got on this broadcast too, just the gospel. And it was interesting. This was like you'd say was like a mission-looking church, but the gospel became such a major thing to the city of Chicago that even the president, the Moody Bible Institute, and a lot of these people, they heard about this. They all had to come and want to see what was going on in this place, because the gospel had done that to them, see. And so when I think of the church, you know, then finally we had to leave that church and build our own church. but the gospel was the big thing all the time. Everybody, if you talk to people that came to the Northside Gospel Center and asked them what was the main thing, it was how they were taught the gospel, taught the clear gospel.
And what is more important than the gospel of Jesus Christ, especially preached clearly?
Clearly, that's right. Because as you know, I feel it's just as important to teach them what it is not as what it is. Because if they don't know the real truth, well, they're blind. See what I mean? And Christians here, a lot of them are going to be saved, but they're going to go through life, frustrated, constantly frustrated, because they haven't got the assurance, especially if they don't believe in eternal security. Mm-hmm. They really have a really big problem.
Sure.
They're constantly wondering, well, am I saved today or am I not? And so forth. And so, yes, that's why the Lord laid on my heart to put together these 16 questions. And that's when this fellow, Dave Reese, who grew up in our program, brilliant Bible teacher. And I sat down, I said, Dave, here are the questions I want you to take it and talk on them. And so in the video that I used all over the country, Dave Reese, he sat down, he didn't have a note, he didn't have anything. He just went right straight through it from his heart and just shared the answer to those 16 questions.
And that video is called Blessed Calvary, isn't it?
Blessed Calvary, that's what the video is.
And in doing so, it just goes over questions about, your understanding of the gospel and the clarity of the gospel, and even the wrong responses.
Mm-hmm. Well, the thing that's interesting, we give them all a sheet of paper so that they can mark their own score. Is this a true statement or this is not a true statement? And so after they have committed themselves, and then they hear the video, and it really wakes them up. Wow, I didn't see this, I didn't see this. So it's important for them to commit themselves first.
Yes.
Commit themselves first, and then they really wake up.
Yeah, we're involved in doing this survey evangelism, and we use that same kind of approach. Mm-hmm. And once they've committed and they've listened, you've listened to them, they'll usually listen to you.
Yes, right.
And then you get a chance to clarify the gospel, what it is, what it's not.
Exactly.
And again, in our day, repent from your sins, ask Jesus in your heart, give your life to Christ.
That's right.
All these confusing cliches.
Confusing things, it sure is.
Instead of just believe on the Lord Jesus Christ, because He died for your sins and rose again.
Well, that's right.
He alone can save you.
Over in Corinthians, it says, that's it. That's the clarity of it, isn't it? That Christ died and He rose again. That's it.
Yep.
That's it. Believe it.
Yeah, just put your faith in Him, in Him alone.
Yeah, you're not alone.
Yeah.
That's it. Yeah. So,
So if you got saved at 10 and you're 98, you've been saved for 88 years, Art. You've known the Lord. Isn't that amazing? Now, when did you get involved, or when did Awana start?
Well, it started back in 1950. Because Lance, he said, I just want you to reach the neighborhood, the kids. And I knew nothing about how to reach kids, nothing. But I saw those kids standing out on the corner, and I said, I know that sooner or later those kids are going to go the wrong direction. They're going to wind up and mess up their lives, but how am I going to reach them? I didn't know how. And that's when the Lord gave me, He really gave me the game period. I never realized that game period was going to be the most effective tool to reach kids that you could ever want, because even today, all through the jungles, in other words, they'll dig out that, because it's so simple. It's so simple. Inside of 15 minutes, you can reach 100 kids that way. Well, here, the Lord gave me that, and I started coming up with games, and I said, kids, come on in here. I got some games that you've never played before. And wow, they were excited about the games. And before I knew it, I had a bunch of those kids. And so here I have all those kids. But now what do I do with them? I had no curriculum. I had nothing to give them, really. And I said, Lord, you know, I had to take, as my verse, Jeremiah 33:3, call, I'll answer, and I'll show you. And so I called, and so God helped me to put together a nice little entrance test on the gospel and so forth. And I found these kids were very receptive to it, see? And, but then I thought, well, okay, that's a nice start, but I want to be able to have something to motivate them. They need some uniforms, they need some awards, they need things to make them. And so I had no money, I had nothing. And so that was when the Lord laid on my heart to take and collect newspapers. Because you could collect them and by the pound, you could sell them and get money. And so I got these kids together. I had probably about 40 of them now. I said, I want you to help me. Every Saturday morning at 8 o'clock, we're going to go up and down the street and get newspapers and see what we do. Because I said, we've got to get a little printing press of our own. It was just mimeograph stuff we had. Mm-hmm. And it wasn't long before we had filled that bus with newspaper, and we had enough money pretty soon to buy a second-hand press. And so now I got a second-hand press. I didn't have any idea how to run a press. So the next step is I had to get someone to teach me how to run the press. Well, after I ran the press, okay, I ran all these papers off. I put them out on the table there. But now I need someone to collate them. I can't go around collate all these things. And these kids says, we're going to come in every day after school. We want to be part of this. And the kids collated all those books for me, and I had a little machine that would take and do plastic binding. And those kids sat there and they collected them and they put these books together. And I say, here's a ministry for kids that really was designed by the kids. Mm-hmm. Isn't that neat? And so from there on in, everything I saw God provide this, and this, and this, and this. Because I look at our foreign missions today, when you think of all around the world, I could not do this. I know that.
Sure.
Only God could do this, see? Mm-hmm. And so that's the thing we have to realize, that I feel that on the best day of my life, I still deserve to go to hell, don't I? Huh? And if it were not for the grace of God, and the thing that you and I can't answer, you know, I've been in 55 countries, and every time I get to a country, God would say, Art, you could have been born here, never having heard the gospel. Mm-hmm. And the sovereignty of God, we don't have an answer to it.
Yeah, we just know He's not willing any should perish, and He wants all to be saved.
But
why
He blessed us, you can't answer that.
Just His sovereign plan.
Sovereignty of God.
Yeah.
And so that's the thing, it is overwhelmed. Why?
Yeah.
And we just have to say, thank you, Lord, thank you, Lord, thank you, Lord, for what You've allowed us to be part of. That's it. Because I could have just well gone the other way too.
And how many countries is Awana in today?
They're in about 120.
Okay.
About 120 so.
Yes,
but it's growing rapidly.
Yeah.
Oh, well, every you see, the tragedy is there's nothing else out there. Mm-hmm. There aren't any youth programs today. And so everybody wants it. But God's given us a nice system. We used to work on one particular club and develop it, but we found that we couldn't go fast enough that way. And so we would take and put together a pastors' conference, and we would pay for them and bring them all in, and there we would teach them all about Awana, and there to see who had the heartbeat to be a leader and who didn't. Mm-hmm. And we would give them, let's say, a box with everything in Awana. And the one thing they had to do if they were going to be part of Awana, they had to also go ahead and have a conference and bring pastors together. And they had to spread it. And they had to spread it. And that has been the secret of why it has spread. Because they're constantly spreading.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? And they have pastors. And they're so thrilled because they're seeing God use them. See?
Yeah, thinking of that, Art's lived in the Chicago area all his life, and the Chicago Cubs just won the World Series after 108 years.
Yeah.
And we were just talking this morning, the MVP of the World Series was Ben Zobrist, who happened to grow up in a pastor's home of a Bible church and was part of Awana as a kid.
Mm-hmm.
What are some other people that have been part of Awana that are well known over the years, Art? You mentioned John Ankerbird was in Awana.
Well, yes, of course, John Ankerberg, and of course, Jay Breeze. Jay Breeze was in Awana. Mm-hmm. And at this 28th, which is going to be in the local church, I'm going to display all the missionaries that came out of that church.
Yeah, this is on January 28th.
Yes.
Art's putting together a thing in which he's going to go over all the various people that have contributed or have come out of the Awana ministry over the year, kind of as a memorial to the grace of God and what he's done in so many lives.
Well, you're going to see what Lance Latham, you see, he and Paul Fleming, he's the founder of New Tribes Mission.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And Doc Latham and he were very close friends. And he was almost like a co-founder of New Tribes Mission. But Paul Fleming took the heartbeat of foreign missions into Lance. And on this church, I don't know if there's any church anywhere, that's only my impression, but you'll see, if you come, on the wall of that church, I'm putting up all the names of the missionaries that grew up and came out of that church. Do you know how many came out of that church? 52 missionaries.
Really, what was the name of the church again?
Northside Gospel Center.
Okay, and it was that was the first Awana club was there.
Down in the basement is where this...
You want to explain what this is, Art?
Yes. Well, actually, this came on before this building we're going to be in. It came an old furniture store that Lance Latham started to have the church in, because it's a miracle, because Doc Latham, he was not a fellow who was minded in building churches and all that sort of thing. And so God wonderfully brought people together to take and build that church. Well, it was nothing but like a mission, is all it was. And an interesting thing, he put a sign out in front of that church, a neon sign. And on that sign it said, Christ in heaven, and on the other side it says, or eternal hell. That was on that sign. And this is interesting. When I was there, that's where he appointed me to be youth director of that place. And the kids had thrown snowballs at it and put that sign out of commission. So I had to bring the sign people in to fix it. And he came up to see me, the sign, he said, I fixed a lot of signs, but you look at this sign, the only thing that was burning was hell. Only thing that was burning was hell. And boy, did I have a nice time to witness to that fellow. Yes, hell is a real place, a real place, see? But in that old furniture store, is where God did something else. It used to have an elevator that used to bring the furniture up to the second floor. Well, this place hadn't been used for years and years and years. And I looked down that elevator shaft, and I looked right down at the bottom, and there was a trunk laying down there. And I was curious to know what was in that trunk. And so I make my way through, down all this rubbish and all this stuff, and finally I open that trunk. You'll never believe what was in that trunk. There was over 200 red, blue, green, yellow beanie hats. Little wool beanie hats. That's where the 4 colors came from.
Oh, okay.
See? And I thought, well, what am I going to do with those? Well, I decided that's going to be part of a uniform. I got a t-shirt and so forth, and the beanie hat, And that was the uniform. And you know what that taught me? That, you know, it's a matter of what you make important. And that was really important to those kids. They were just as proud back there to have a beanie hat and a t-shirt as the kids are today to have all the other things. See? It's all up to leadership, how important you make it, see?
Yeah.
And of course, I should sneak in here and tell you about my prison illustration. Here I'm in the 90s, and I get a call from the warden of the Angola prison. And that was the worst prison in the whole country. They're all lifers. They've all murdered somebody. And it was a bloody prison. They were murdering one another right in the prison. And when the warden called me up and said, I need you to come and help me. Well, I'm going to help you. I don't know anything about this. So I get and I talk with the warden, and he says, you know, I've been trying to help them, put them in cells, but that doesn't change them. I said, I know that their heart's got to get changed if we're going to change them. And he says, I just felt you're kind of a man, maybe of God or someone that maybe can help us. I said, well, all I think we'd like to do, I'd like to see if they could memorize scripture. And I said, well, you can try, but there's a tough bunch down there. And he says, but I'll bring them down. And he brought down about 500 of the inmates. Imagine talking to 500 guys that had all murdered somebody. That's the scene. And so I started teaching them Psalm 1. And before I knew it, they were reciting Psalm 1. And what a thrill. We probably now have maybe 1,000 that can recite Psalm 1. But they went on and on and on. And perhaps the most thrilling video I had, because they went on and memorized Isaiah 53. And I have a video of one of the inmates standing in front of probably 30, 40 of his inmates, and he's reviewing Isaiah 53 with them. And I thought, that's only God that can do something like that.
And many of these inmates heard the gospel and came to trust Christ as Savior.
Yes. And the real proof of that, of it is the fact that when I used to come together in chapel, which was a requirement, they would come in just soon like to kill somebody. But now when they came to chapel, they put their arms around people and said, oh, I love you. Now that's the gospel. That's the only gospel could do that.
Yeah.
And when you see that, they're like my family down there. Oh, if it were possible, I'd bring them right into my home.
And that's in Louisiana, isn't it?
That's down in Angola. That's the name of the town.
Yeah.
Angola, Louisiana. See.
Yeah. And then it reached out from there to their families, right?
Yes.
They started to bring their families in.
Well, we have a day when they can when we go ahead and bring